Have you ever think like what is happening when you initialize the Git at very first time in your directory or in your project folder? What exactly it is doing behind the scene? We all know like it will initialize a .git directory inside that project folder. But under the hood, what is the mechanism which Git follows, how it is mapping all those files, all those directories, and how it is getting maintained the versions of your file, right? So welcome everyone. It is a day 4 in our Git for DevOps series. So in today's video, we will gonna discuss how exactly the Git works under the hood, right? Because see, when we initialize the Git at very first time, it will gonna create a .git directory. But further, what is happening, right? When you are adding a file, when you are modifying a file, or when you are deleting a file, or maybe when you are committing, right? So all operations I will try to answer here, like how exactly the Git is tracking all those files. So in order to start the today's video, what we need to understood is, let me just give a notepad here and then I will explain you. See, in entire series we will gonna discuss Git with in very good and deep detail. But as of now, we just need to understand these 3 or 4 commands so that we'll understand okay what how exactly the Git works under the hood. One is the Git status and then Git add and then git commit. So these 4 basic command we will just discuss with one-liner description and then I will show you exactly how it is getting created. So git init is like we have seen in our previous videos as well, which is getting initialized, right? The git inside your folder. You're telling to git, okay, this is the folder which I want to track for all versions, right? So it is just nothing, it will just create your git repository. The git status is will show you the current status of your directory, like what all files are being tracked, what all files are not being tracked. I mean, they are untracked file, they are modified file, whether those are staged file or unmodified file. If I talk about the file life cycle, right, in any Git repository, so it is untracked, it is modified, it is staged, and it is unmodified. So these are the literally basic, or maybe I would say that the base 4 life cycle of any file in the Git repository. If you have added a new file, obviously it is untracked file. If you are getting some change, if you're changing something in existing file, that means that file will be marked as a modified file. But when you add those file, right, then those file will be kind of staged file that are ready to commit. And once you are committed and when you run the git status, if it is showing nothing, that means that all files are marked as unmodified. Means those files are already getting tracked by the git. Git add is nothing. Git add is just whatever that you want to change. You have done the changes, right? Add a new file or modified a previous file. Those file, if you want to add to a Git to track, then you can run to a Git add, which will basically move your file from untracked and modified to the staged directory or the staged state. Git commit is nothing which will move it to the repository from the staged state to a repository. Either it could be your local repository, right? And then you can push it to a remote repository. Don't worry, going forward, we will gonna discuss what is local and what is remote repository, right? So as of now, we just need to understand git init just basically initialize your repository. Git status will show you the current status. Git add will be basically move your file from untracked and modify to a staged state. And once you are ready, you are good, then you can git commit, which simply move from stage to a unmodified, which is nothing a repository. If you are not using any kind of remote repository, then it will be in your local repository. All right. So what I will do is I will create a something called, let's say, git interval. Okay. Uh, okay. I think we need to create. Yes, obviously we need to create, right? So we have this file directory created, and what I will do is I will just run the git init command. So what it is doing is it has created a directory called this one, right? Dot git. Let me take one more session for the same server, and then I will show you what exactly is happening. Now, if I just run git interval dot git, okay, it has created a many file inside it. Let me just give you a brief and then I will show you a live example. So here you can see that it has created a head. Head is nothing. Head is just uh, as of now it is just a file. If you want to cat it, you can cat that file. It will just show you that okay, where exactly you are currently these branches will referring to, right? Then the branches itself, then the config description, it is just a metadata kind of thing, right? Under the hooks, I'm not gonna talk about the hooks now. I will gonna focus on this object and the reference today, right? Under the object, see, whenever we are adding anything inside the Git repository, those are objects. And object is what? In Git, we have a like it is objects, and what it will be, it could be a blob, it could be a tree, it could be your head, and it could be your tags, right? Head is nothing. Head is just keeping the information about the repository. Tag is just if you are putting an additional label on your repository, right? That's a tag. I will show you all these things. And tree is nothing. Basically, blob is something when you add a file inside a Git, right? So Git, what Git will do is under the hood, Git will add that file as a blob object. But whereas if you have any directory and if you're adding that directory inside the Git, Git will add that as a tree object, right? So that is nothing. It's just a file and it's just a directory. Okay. So what I will do is I will switch it to something called object, right? And I am gonna put this under watch command so that it will give me a live changes. So as of now, you can see that it is having nothing, right? So let's do one thing. Let's create a new file. Okay. I'm gonna create a file here. Let's say echo welcome to path for cloud, and I'm gonna redirecting to a my something called first file.txt. Okay, it has added now. It has added now, but if you see a git status now, remember I have talked about the git status. Now, what is the life cycle? It is untracked file, right? Because we have added a new file. If you would have a existing file and you made some changes to that file, that will be marked as a modified file. But since we have this new file, so obviously it will marked as a untracked file. The next what you need to do is you need to add that, so that what will happen, right? Just keep an eye on right side here, right? The moment you said git add, see what happened. It has added this blob, right? I will show you what exactly happened here. See, what Git does is Git keeps an eye on each and every file, and it has stored this object as a blob using its SHA value, right? It uses a hash value of that particular file. So if you want to see, right, how exactly it is doing, let me just keep it little below. Let me just fix it and then I will show you. Yeah, now we are good. And if I'll keep this, see, there is a uh, what you want to see is, okay, let me first show you what it has done is, if I just run this uh, has object, okay, there was a typo. So you can see what it is showing me. It is showing me this. So what, and same way you can see that the first two character is created as a directory, and under that directory the rest character is taken as a file name of that particular file. So using these hash values, right? It is a SHA-1 value use which is being used by the Git to track those all file, right? So that way that you can see. If I want to show you, like if I just say git cat file and hyphen p, so here you can see this is the content, right? One more very important thing is Git never stores your file name. I will repeat myself. Git never stores your file name. Rather, it will store the content of your file, right? That's a just make this line as an underline, because now you will tell me, okay, if Git is not storing my file, right? My file name, then how Git will know, okay, which file is changed and which file is not changed, right? So that I will come to that point. But as of now, you just need to understand that Git store the content of the file, not the file name, right? Obviously it will store that metadata and then it will refer to that particular thing. But here what is happening is Git has object will take that file and convert this whatever the content, right? Since it is using a SHA-1, so every time whenever you create a new file, it will store the same content of that file, right? I will prove that as well. But now what is happening is it is just compressing that and add as a blob header, right? Now how you will come to know, okay, whether it's a blob or not? Let me show you the same command. If you put the T as a type and if you run for this, so here you can see that this object is a blob. Why? Because we have added a file. I will show you the directory as well where it will show you the object type as a tree, right? So that's how that it has created this, right? There is one more thing. I think it is size for S. It will just show you the how many bytes of that particular file is carrying the content. So it is a 22 bytes data inside that, right? So that's how that you can see all these it is happening, right? Let's do one thing. Let's create one more file. I will run the echo command and I will just show you second file. Okay, now let's keep an eye in the below. See, there is no changes, and that proves, because if you see here, right, git status here, what it is saying is one file is untracked file, which is the name of the second file .txt, whereas on the other hand there is one file which is ready to, which is already staged, right, and it is first file. We have two files, but told you that when you add a new file inside a Git repository, it has created a hash object of that particular file. But if I just run this git hash jcd, okay, it's only object, not s, object, that's the command only we ran previously. Okay, and there was a typo. So you can see that it has created this. Why? Because this file is also having the same content and this file is also having the same content. Remember, I mentioned Git stores only the content of the file, not the file name. Right? Now the question is, if it is not storing this particular file name, right? Then how come it will know if tomorrow I will change that particular thing? Then how it will come to know, okay, which file it will gonna do that particular thing, right? So for that, let's do one thing. Let's git add, right? There is no changes in below, and if you do git status, you have two files which is ready to be staged. Now if I git commit hyphen m and I will say my first demo. Okay, what it is saying is please identity unknown. Please tell me who. Yeah, there is one more thing. Whenever you are doing this, adding this file, right? So you need to prove yourself. Why? Because when you run a git log, right? So it will show you, okay, who done what. So see, it is still in unstaged file, but if you notice, it has created another hash object below. And if I just try to get that A9 D9, so here you can see, okay, hyphen P is for parameter, just to pass this. So here you can see that, right? So what it has done is, if I'll do the same thing for this, for a type, it is also a tree. Why? Because whatever the directory or the file it will gonna create, you can see, just notice on this part, it has the same hash value and it is pointing to these two files, which is stored as a metadata again, right? That is why it has created this as a tree, because when you add, right, it will just simply add that as a tree, right? So but before that, what we need to do is we need to set our identity here. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna set it as a global because I want to set this configuration identity is only and only for this repository, right? So let's add that git config user email, let's say admin at path4cloud.com, and same way git config user dot name and I will say admin. Now if you try to commit it, it has committed. And if you see git status, you can see that nothing is there. But the moment you commit, right, again it has created a new hash. Let's see, git cat file hyphen p, it is 5029, and here you can see that it is a having a different kind. So what I am trying to convey here is, when you add, right, you have done git init, right? So under hash object, what it will do is, when you add a new file, git will create a new hash for that object is, and object type is blob for a file. When you add this, right, when you add a new file, it has created, right? Now when you, what you have done is, now we have committed, right? So commit, what it will do is, commit will also, it will create a, let's say if I'll show you here, the type of this, it is also a commit, right? So this is a third object. So far what we have understood is, one is the blob, which is what, which is a file. Then we have a tree, which is nothing, which is just a, what it will do is, it will add your folder under this, whatever that you are doing. And the third one is the commit. Commit is nothing. Commit will have what, all information, like it is pointing to which tree. And what is it is, if you cat this, it will just show you, okay, in which hash is pointing to which file, because since it has a same content, right, and then you can see that it is pointing to the same thing. So that's how Git knows, okay, how I need to do all these things. Let's do one thing. I'm gonna change this in this second file, and if I say git status now, you can see that it is modified. But the moment will I add it, right? Now you can see it has created a new object is E7. And if I do this E7 7E, you can see that it is pointing to this. But whether that particular tree got changed, let's see now. but it is still pointing to the same. Why? Remember the life cycle? Because it is still untracked. If you see the git status, it is, sorry, it is on stage, right? But when you commit it, right, then it will gonna change that commit ID as well, and it will gonna change the tree as well, right? So let's run the commit is, and by the way, this X is only when will be visible when we have the changes, right? Which is maybe untracked or modified, but once you commit those, this X will go away. Okay. So now I would say changed. Okay. And you can see this X is gone and it has created a new object is 1D. Let's see. I need to check what it has added, but I believe 1D F9. Now you can see that the hash is changed now for this tree, right? And do we have this A9 as well? You can see that it is having A9 as well. If you cat this again, it is pointing to a previous hash only. That is the way that you have the capability to revert back your changes. The way you have the capability to go back to, and that is the way that it is keeping your versioning. So you can say that it has two versions. Initial version was this one, and this is the updated version. Since this file was never modified, so it is pointing to the same hash, right? So that is how it is getting created and all these values inside that particular thing, right? So you can see that it now the tree is changed to a new hash and it is created to a this one E9 E7, and this is the file. If you see, it has a new content which we just added now, right? So that is how. Same way, let's say if I just created a new directory here, and if I'll just say new directory file, and if I redirect to new file here and git add, you can see it will gonna create a new. I think it is created a D6. If I just say git cat file hyphen t D6C9. Okay, it is a blob only. Maybe I am not sure which is, but what I will do is I will do this way. So what is the date now? It is 15, so probably this one D6 E9, right? And that is the file only because we have added it, but it will gonna add a tree as well. 2015, because once you push it, right, or maybe what you can do is you can run one more command which will give you a tree for this git write tree. See, these are internal command. You will never uh, run all these file in your DevOps career or maybe in DevOps daily routine and everything. I'm just showing you all these files. So you can see that it has created a new tree, and this tree is having, you can see that this is a blob with the initial hash of the file. This is the blob for the second file and the hash is the change. And here you can see the type. Now, if you cat this, right, git cat file, let's see what it is having for this tree. Now you can see this tree is pointing to this. And if I'm gonna run this cat file hyphen p, and here you can see new directory file, the content which we created. So that's how that it is keeping a track, right? So this is the final tree. If we commit now, this will be committed, and which commit will have that ID, right? If I just say git commit hyphen m added directory, m is nothing, m is just for the message for that commit, and it is recommended to give a kind of very descriptive message so that once you run it, right, now you can see it has created a new commit ID, and I'll show you what it will do. So now the timing is 2017. So can you see the 2017 6F? Okay, what is that 6F? AF. Okay. Now git cat file 6F AF. Okay, it is missing the flag. Now you can see that it has a, if I just show you git logs, right? The latest log says this one, and it has commit ID is this one. And if you cat this, so it is pointing to this tree 8F, which I just show you here. The 8F was the latest, which is having the all information. What? It has this file which was unmodified. It has this modified file with the new hash, and it has a directory, right? So the new commit will pointing to this tree, which is 8AF, and it is this one, right? And this is a commit which will have the parent. Why? Because this, why the parent is having? Because it is a modified, right? If you do this, right, which will show you, again it has a different, because we have committed, I think, thrice, right? You can see that it is pointing to this one, it is pointing to this one, because this is the parent of this one. If you see this 1D, right? So for this, if the parent is this one. This commit has created a this tree, and this tree was committed with this. So this was our final, uh, not final, maybe the first commit which we have done. So let me check this, and here you can see we don't have parent, because this was the initial commit, and which has information. Okay, this commit is pointing to this tree, which will have a what? Which will have a same hash value for the both file. You can see, right? Then we have changes to this. If you cat this, it will show you the new hash. So that's how that it works inside this, right? So let me summarize. Maybe you confusing you, but you don't need to learn, or I mean you don't need to keep all time in the mind like what all this, but under the hood how exactly it is working. So I thought just let's discuss with you like how exactly it is adding those, how exactly it is keeping track of those files. So that's how that it is being done inside the Git. Right? So what is happening? We have the four stages of any file. First is untracked if it is a added new. Modified is for existing file if you are doing some changes. When you add that, so that file move to a staged, right? Let's say here we have these file. If I just say git status, so as of now it's clean, right? Because everything is moved to unmodified, means the local repository. If you want to maintain it in central, then you need to push it to a some central repository, which we will talk about further. But as of now, my local repository is clean. But let's say if I'm gonna add a new file here, let's say touch new file 123, and if I just run git status, right? So it is saying the untracked. Let's add this file, and now if you run the git status, it is moved to a staged, right? You can see that it is moved to a staged already, right? And that's how that you can do this to a commit. And once you commit it, obviously it will move to a unmodified stage directory. Then once you add or once you commit and do, what exactly Git is doing is Git is adding those object as a what? A file is adding as a blob folder, or maybe the commit, right? It is being added as a tree when you are adding that file to a particular staged directory. But when you doing a commit, that commit will add as a commit object type, which will have the information of its tree. Like under tree, it is referring to the hash of that particular content, and that has to be linked to which metadata of that file, and that is how that it is being linked, the file name and the that object inside that, right? Apart from that, if I'll just cancel this and I will clear it, I will just want to show you, let's say if I just show you watch dot get, okay, we need to go to a git interval, and then I will show you watch dot get, and here we have the refs and head. Okay, why it is showing the permission? Yeah, this one, right? So it is having this, right? If you just want to see this, let's say tree. So it is referring to which one? It is referring to this master. Master is nothing, master is just your branch. Let's say if I'll just say git checkout develop. Okay, we need to first add this and git commit hyphen m, and I will say new demo. And now if I want to change my what you say that new directory, right? Let's say git checkout test branch. Why it is not allowing me to? Did not match any file known to git. Okay, git branch. It is giving me this one, but it should work to a new this one. Okay, so let me, okay, because branch was never created. Okay, now I got it. So what we need to do is we need to create first, and then it will allow me to do this. The moment you created, and if you do this, so you can see that it is pointing to a new branch, right? So that's how that, maybe this we will discuss more detail when we discuss our branch, right? And there was one more command, if I'll just show you. Let me clear. And as of now, you can see this it is nothing. It is just the git log, right? If you say here, you can see that git log is pointing to the head. Head is just the like where your exactly the thing is going to happen. Because as of now, it is pointing to a master. And the test branch is the additional branch. And these are the commit ID. If you see this one, right? It is pointing to the same thing. This is was the second where we have given this added directory. This was the commit where we have some changed, and this was our initial one, right? So that's how that you can keep an eye, or maybe you can do all these stuff like where exactly it is doing all this. Apart from that, I think there is one more thing. If I'll just show you, I think it's refs and tags. Yeah, as of now, there is no tag, right? But going forward, when we put some tag, right, then I will show you. Let's say if I'll just say git commit, git tag, and then I will just show you this commit maybe, and I will say v1.0 fail to resolve v10. Okay, tag name it is not giving. Let's say uh okay, I think we need to create a tag, git tag v1.0. It has created, and now if I pointing to this, and I'll just show you one more thing now. Now you can see it is saying, okay, we are heading to a master branch, and it has mapped to a this one, right? This you can see. Okay, it has created a two tag for this, and then it is pointing to. So you can tag that, right? And what is the characteristics of tag? Like what is the leverage we will get, the benefits of the tag? We will going forward when we talk about the GitHub Actions later in this series. right? So that's all about the Git under the hood, how exactly the Git works, what are the life cycle of the file, what are the objects type, and how it is being stored inside our Git, and how the Git helps us to, or automatically like inside it will giving all this stuff to this. All right. I hope this was kind of helpful for you, where you can see how the Git works under the hood, how it is keeping track, what the file object, what the tree object, what the commit object, and this. Right. So I will gonna meet you in the next video where we will talk about the most probably the branch, how the branch works, how you can create a new branch, how you can merge the branch. We will deep dive in mostly on branches. All right. So yeah, let's keep learning the Git, and I would recommend to support me here. Just like and subscribe to these videos so that you will not miss the latest video in this series, because we have a lot to come in this. Okay, so I will meet you in the next, and stay happy, stay learning. Thank you. Bye bye.